Welcome to the Author Awareness Podcast. Today, we're going to be diving deep
Ooh, deep dive.
into a book
Fun.
that tackles a very specialized industry. So, buckle up,
Okay.
buying and selling accounting practices.
Wow. Niche?
It is.
Oh.
We are exploring the 7 secrets to successfully selling your accounting practice.
Catchy.
It is, right? Authored by Bruce Clark.
I know Bruce.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, he's the CEO of New Clients, Inc.
Okay, familiar with them.
Very familiar, yeah.
I've heard they've helped over 3,000 accountants and CPAs grow their practices.
That's right. They're the best.
So this book is like a
Cheat sheet.
cheat sheet.
I like that.
Anyone thinking about selling their practice or even just curious about this niche market,
Absolutely.
I heard there's a way to get this book for free.
There is.
Tell me more.
You can download a free copy at newclientsync.com.
All right.
We'll remind you at the end of the show,
Good deal.
but it's a great resource.
Okay, so let's unpack these 7 secrets.
Okay, let's do it.
The first one is all about the seller's advantage.
Love it.
Now, I would assume it's a buyer's market. More practices for sale than people wanting to buy them.
Makes sense.
Is that what Bruce is saying here?
Oh.
Debunking.
Yeah, he is. You're right on the money.
Okay.
Bruce argues that in many U.S. markets, it's actually the opposite.
Oh, interesting.
More buyers than sellers.
Okay.
He cites some areas with a ratio as high as 15 buyers for every practice on the market.
Wow, so 15 buyers.
For one practice.
That flips the script.
It does.
How does this seller's advantage actually play out in the real world? What does it mean for someone thinking about selling their practice?
It means you have more leverage than you might think.
Interesting.
This competitive market can drive up sale prices.
Oh, good.
Well, think about it. If 15 buyers are vying for your practice,
Yeah.
they're likely to offer more to stand out.
So even if someone's not actively planning to sell, just knowing this dynamic shifts your perspective. You start thinking about your practice as a valuable asset with potentially high demand.
Exactly. It encourages you to think strategically about your practice's growth and positioning.
Makes sense.
You know a seller's market exists.
Right.
You'll focus on what makes your practice attractive to buyers.
Okay.
Things like profitability, client diversity, and efficient systems.
So it's not just about like revenue, but also,
How you run things.
efficiency systems. Got it.
Okay.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like knowing the real estate market is hot.
Right.
Suddenly, you're more motivated to spruce up your house and increase its curb appeal.
Exactly. And this ties into Bruce's second secret.
Okay.
It challenges another common assumption: valuations.
Valuations.
A lot of people think accounting practices sell for a simple multiple of their gross revenue,
Okay.
like 1 times gross.
Yeah, makes sense.
But Bruce argues that's an oversimplification.
All right, so if it's not a straightforward multiple,
Right.
what factors actually determine a practice's value? What makes one practice worth more than another?
It's a combo of things:
Okay.
location, client type, and most importantly, profit margins.
Profit margins, got it.
Practices with higher profit margins,
That's right.
they can fetch significantly more than 1 times gross revenue. We're
Exactly.
talking potentially 150% or even higher.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So it's not just about how much revenue you're bringing in,
right.
but how efficiently you're running your practice and converting that revenue into profit.
Exactly.
That's a crucial distinction.
Big one.
Okay.
And this is where understanding the nuances of the market becomes crucial.
Okay.
A skilled broker can help sellers highlight these value drivers and position their practices to attract premium offers.
Secret number 1 tells us sellers have more power than they might realize. Secret number 2 reveals that focusing on profitability can dramatically increase a practice's value.
Yes.
This is already eye-opening stuff.
Oh, no, right?
Let's move on to secret number 3, earnouts.
Okay.
For those who aren't familiar, could you explain what an earnout is
Sure.
and why it's relevant to selling a practice?
An earnout is a structured agreement
Okay.
where the seller receives a portion of the sale price over time
Cool.
based on the practice's future performance after the sale.
Interesting.
It's common in practice sales because it helps align the buyer and seller's interests
Okay.
in a smooth transition and continued success.
So there's an element of shared risk and reward
There is.
built into earnouts. But what's Bruce's secret about them?
Yeah.
What's the counterintuitive insight here?
Bruce cautions against long earnout periods,
Okay, like how long are we talking?
like those stretching 5 to 7 years
Wow.
and tied to collections.
Right.
He argues these can be very risky for the seller.
Okay, why is that?
Think about it. If the buyer mismanages the practice and clients leave,
Yeah.
the seller loses out on a significant part of their payout.
So even though the intent of an earnout is to ensure a smooth transition,
Right.
a long earnout period can backfire if the buyer doesn't perform well.
Yeah, it's a gamble.
It's like betting on the buyer's competence for years after you've walked away.
Exactly.
So is Bruce advocating for completely avoiding earnouts?
No.
Or are there ways to structure them more safely?
He's not against earnouts entirely.
Okay.
He just stresses the importance of understanding the risks and negotiating terms that protect the seller.
So being informed,
Yes.
understanding the trade-offs, and having a good advisor.
A good advisor is key.
Okay,
This might include shorter earnout periods,
got it.
benchmarks tied to profitability rather than just collection,
Right.
or even exploring alternative deal structures altogether.
So options.
Always options.
Okay, this is definitely something I'd want to discuss with a broker who has deep experience in this market.
Definitely.
Secret number 4. This addresses the anxieties many sellers have about letting go.
Ooh, I know that feeling.
Post-sale involvement.
Mhm.
Many worry that if they don't stay deeply involved for years after selling, clients will leave and the practice will crumble.
Yeah, it's scary to think about.
You pour your heart and soul into building a practice.
So much time.
The thought of it falling apart after you leave
Yeah.
can be emotionally and financially daunting.
Hits a lot.
What does Bruce say about this?
He argues that extended post-sale involvement is often unnecessary.
Really?
Yeah, and might even hinder the transition.
Okay.
He believes that as long as the buyer maintains consistency,
Consistency like what?
keeping things like pricing, personnel, and location stable,
Okay.
clients are likely to stay.
So it's more about the buyer ensuring a smooth transition
Right.
than the seller needing to stick around and handhold everything.
Exactly.
Of course, a reasonable handover period is important,
Of course.
but clinging on for years,
Not always necessary.
that's reassuring.
It is.
It means you can actually sell your practice and move on to your next chapter
Yes.
without constantly looking over your shoulder.
Freedom.
But what about the financial aspect?
Ooh, good question.
Secret number 5 dives into payment options.
Okay.
And I'm curious, are all cash deals as rare as they seem?
Bruce debunks that myth, too.
He does.
He reveals that all cash sales are more common than many people think.
Wow.
Sellers don't necessarily have to finance the sale themselves or settle for a drawn-out payment plan.
That's fantastic news.
It is.
Getting a lump sum upfront would certainly simplify things,
Furwood.
provide immediate financial security.
Absolutely.
But what about the buyer's perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Why would they choose to pay all cash instead of spreading out the cost?
Sometimes offering a slight discount for an all-cash deal can incentivize buyers
Okay,
to pony up the full amount upfront.
makes sense.
It's a win-win.
Win-win, I like it.
The seller gets their money quickly, and the buyer avoids the complexities and potential interest costs of financing.
Okay, so there's a strategic element to payment terms.
Definitely.
It's not just about what's ideal for the seller,
Right.
but also understanding what motivates the buyer and finding that sweet spot where both parties feel good about the deal.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to secret number 6.
Okay.
This tackles a potentially thorny issue:
Oh, boy.
client retention guarantees.
Yeah, that can be tricky.
I imagine this is where negotiations can get tense.
They can.
Buyers wanting assurances that clients will stay,
Makes sense.
and sellers hesitant to make promises they can't fully control.
It's a tough spot.
It's a valid concern from both sides.
For sure.
What's Bruce's take on this delicate balance?
He believes in shared risk
Shared risk.
between buyer and seller,
Got it.
but emphasizes a more balanced approach.
Okay.
He suggests a one-year look-back period with a 15% floor.
15% floor. Okay.
This means the buyer can lose up to 15% of clients in the first year
Okay.
and receive a price adjustment.
Okay.
Anything above that is on them.
So there's a built-in buffer
There is.
to account for some inevitable client churn. But the seller isn't held responsible for every single client who decides to walk away.
Right, it's reasonable.
It seems like a fair compromise.
It is.
Recognizes the inherent uncertainties of a practice transition.
Exactly.
This is incredibly valuable information for anyone thinking about selling their practice.
Very valuable.
It provides a framework for navigating these complex negotiations.
For sure.
We're down to the final secret, number 7,
Last but not least.
financing options.
Oh, okay.
Now, I assume getting a traditional bank loan for a practice purchase is difficult.
It can be.
Do specialty lenders even exist for this niche market?
Bruce addresses this head-on,
Okay.
while traditional banks might be hesitant,
Okay.
focusing on hard assets as collateral.
Mm-hmm.
There are indeed specialty lenders
There are.
who specialize in financing practice acquisitions.
So they're out there.
They are.
So even if a buyer doesn't have the full cash amount readily available, there are alternative financing routes they can explore.
No.
What do these specialty lenders look for when evaluating a potential loan?
They primarily assess the practice's cash flow
Okay.
and the buyer's ability to service the debt factors, like the buyer's experience,
All right.
credit history,
Got it.
and the practice's financial stability play a crucial role in securing financing.
So it's not impossible,
Not all.
but it does require a solid foundation
Mm.
and a buyer who can demonstrate they're capable of managing the financial responsibility.
They got to know what they're doing.
This is where having a strong business plan and a realistic assessment of your capabilities come into play.
Couldn't agree more.
So far, we've debunked a lot of assumptions and uncovered some surprising truths
It's been an adventure.
about selling an accounting practice.
It has.
But I'm curious, does Bruce just lay out these 7 secrets and leave it at that?
Nope.
Or does he provide real-world examples to illustrate how they work in practice?
He does. He goes beyond just theory.
Okay.
He includes compelling success stories of people who have navigated the selling process
Okay.
and achieved their goals.
All right, so let's dive into some of these success stories and see how they bring these secrets to life.
Let's do it.
First up, we have Gordon Lee, a CPA from San Francisco.
I know Gordon.
You do?
I do. He's a great guy.
He sold not 1, not 2, but three successful practices.
I know. Incredible, right?
With the help of new clients,
Inc. They're a dream team.
3 practices.
3.
That's impressive.
It is?
Tell me more about Gordon's story.
Okay.
What were the key takeaways from his experience?
Well, his relationship with new clients, Inc. or NCI, began way back in 1988.
Wow, so a while ago.
Yeah.
Back then, he was just starting to build his practice.
Just a young buck.
He clearly had a long-term vision.
He did.
Saw the value of having expert guidance from the beginning.
Smart guy.
So it wasn't just about selling his practices when the time came,
Right.
but about building them strategically from the ground up,
Mm-hmm.
with an eventual sale in mind.
He planned ahead.
That's a smart move,
It is?
especially if you're operating in a seller's market like Bruce describes.
For sure.
It highlights the benefit of working with a firm like NCI over the long haul.
They're in it for the long game.
They can guide you through every stage, from growth and development to maximizing value and ultimately finding the right buyer.
They're like a one-stop shop.
What types of practices did Gordon sell?
Okay, so he sold 2 accounting firms and a payroll practice.
So different niches within the accounting world.
Exactly.
There are buyers out there looking for specialized practices, as well as more traditional accounting firms.
All shapes and sizes.
No matter your niche,
Right.
there's potentially a buyer out there waiting to take over the reins.
There is.
That's encouraging for anyone who might be worried that their specific practice type wouldn't be appealing to buyers.
No worry.
And what happened to Gordon after he sold his 3 practices?
Well, he's now happily retired with his wife,
Good for him.
enjoying the fruits of his labor and the freedom that comes from successfully exiting his businesses.
That's a perfect example of how selling your practice can open up new possibilities, allow you to pursue personal goals and aspirations.
It's not just about the money.
It's not just about the financial gain.
Right.
It's about creating a life that aligns with your values and desires.
Exactly.
Okay, Gordon's story is inspiring,
It is.
but I'm sure he's not the only one who's benefited from NCI's expertise.
Oh, no, not at all.
You have any other success stories to share?
Absolutely. Let's talk about Peter Renzulli,
Okay.
another CPA who found success with NCI's guidance.
All right, what makes Peter's story unique?
Well, Peter emphasizes the personalized support he received from NCI.
Okay.
He started working with them 25 years ago.
Wow, another long-term relationship.
Yeah, they build those.
When he was just starting out,
Mm-hmm.
and he credits them with mentoring him through every step of his journey.
They really took him under their wing.
So it was more than just transactional advice. It was a long-term relationship
Yeah.
built on trust and guidance.
That's the NCI way?
What specific aspects of the process did NCI help Peter with?
Well, he specifically highlights their role in helping him transition from a purely technical professional
Okay.
to a savvy business manager
Okay.
and even a salesperson.
Interesting.
These are skills that many accountants might not naturally possess,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but are crucial for building a successful practice
Right.
and ultimately maximizing its value.
So it's not enough to just be good at the numbers.
Right.
You also need those business skills.
Business acumen.
Yeah, marketing, client relationships.
Absolutely.
These are transferable skills that can make or break a practice's success.
They're essential.
Did Peter successfully sell his practice?
He did.
What was the outcome of his journey with NCI?
He achieved a great price.
Good for him.
Thanks in part to NCI's guidance.
Okay.
What's interesting is that this was actually Peter's second time selling a practice.
Oh, really?
He had previously worked with a different firm,
Interesting.
but he found that NCI's approach was far superior.
Wow, so he had a direct comparison point.
He did.
What specifically did he appreciate about NCI's approach?
Well, he felt that NCI was more proactive,
Okay.
more attentive to his needs, and more skilled at navigating the complexities of the market.
So they really went above and beyond.
They did.
He particularly valued their ability to connect him with the right buyer and negotiate the best possible terms.
They're pros.
It's not just about finding any buyer.
Yeah.
It's about finding the right fit.
Yes.
Someone who aligns with the seller's values
Right.
and will continue to nurture the practice.
It's about finding a good home.
Okay, so we've heard from Gordon, who sold 3 practices, Peter, who had a positive experience with NCI compared to a previous firm.
Yeah.
You have any other success stories that highlight different aspects of this process?
I do. Let's talk about Nina Gallagher,
Nina Gallagher.
a CPA who faced a unique challenge.
Okay, what was her challenge?
Her practice was in a remote area,
Okay.
which could have made it difficult to find a buyer.
Location can definitely play a role.
It can.
How did NCI approach Nina's situation?
They got creative.
Okay.
They recognized that selling Nina's practice wasn't just about marketing the firm.
Gotcha.
It was about selling the lifestyle and the appeal of the region itself.
So they kind of packaged it all together.
They did.
What kind of buyer were they looking for in this situation?
They specifically targeted buyers who were seeking a change of pace.
Okay.
Perhaps someone from a bustling city
Okay.
who desired a quieter, more laid-back environment.
So they turned the location into a selling point
Exactly.
instead of seeing it as a negative.
It's all about perspective.
And it worked.
It did.
They found a buyer.
They found an out-of-state buyer who was looking for a new adventure,
Oh, that's
a
great.
chance to build a life in a more tranquil setting.
Thinking outside the box.
They're good at that.
Understanding the motivations of different buyer segments can lead to success.
It can.
Even in seemingly challenging situations.
Absolutely.
These success stories are truly inspiring.
They are.
They show that selling an accounting practice can be a smooth and rewarding process,
It can be.
even for those who might be facing unique challenges or anxieties.
Everyone has a story.
It's about having the right guidance, the right strategy,
Yeah.
and the belief that the right buyer is out there waiting.
They're out there.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
And it's clear that Bruce Clark has a wealth of knowledge and experience to share.
He does.
But one question keeps popping into my mind.
Okay, I'm listening.
If the market for accounting practices is as hot as Bruce suggests, with more buyers than sellers,
Right.
why do we still hear about practices struggling to sell or settling for less than ideal deals?
That's a great question.
What's the disconnect there?
It speaks to the importance of preparation and strategic planning.
Okay.
Even in a seller's market, certain factors can make or break a deal.
Like what kind of factors?
Things like the practice's profitability,
Oh, wait.
client concentration,
All right.
and even the seller's willingness to transition smoothly can significantly impact the final sale price and terms.
So you can't just like put a for sale sign on your practice and hope for the best.
No, not
You have to be prepared.
Preparation is key.
It's like selling a house.
Exactly.
Sure, in a hot market, you might get multiple offers. But if your house is a mess and you're not willing to negotiate, you might still end up leaving money on the table.
It's the same with a practice.
So we've established that even in a seller's market, preparation is key.
Absolutely.
What are some of the specific things that sellers should focus on to maximize their chances of a successful sale?
Bruce emphasizes the importance of having clean and organized financials.
Okay, clean financials, got it.
Buyers want to see a clear picture of the practice's revenue, expenses, and profitability.
So transparent.
Full transparency.
What else?
Client concentration is another important factor.
Client concentration.
If a large portion of your revenue comes from just a handful of clients,
Yeah.
it can make buyers nervous.
Okay, why is that?
They're worried about what will happen if one of those clients leaves.
Makes sense.
Diversification is key.
So spread it out.
Exactly.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Wise advice.
Anything else sellers should be thinking about as they prepare to sell?
One more thing Bruce highlights is the importance of a smooth transition.
Okay, smooth transition.
Buyers want to know that the seller is committed to helping them integrate into the practice
Okay.
and retain clients.
So no ghosting after the sale.
No, definitely not.
A gracious and supportive transition can go a long way in building trust
Absolutely.
with the buyer and ensuring client continuity.
Smooth sailing.
It sounds like selling an accounting practice is a bit like a relay race.
I like that analogy.
You've run your leg, you've built a successful practice,
Right.
but now you need to pass the baton smoothly to the next runner.
Perfect analogy.
A successful handoff is essential for the team to win.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, so we've talked about the importance of preparation, clean financials, client diversification, and a smooth transition.
Trifecta.
Anything else sellers should keep in mind as they navigate this process?
Bruce stresses the importance of finding the right buyer.
Right, not just any buyer.
Not just the highest bidder.
It's also about finding someone who is a good cultural fit for the practice,
Exactly.
who is committed to serving the clients well.
It's about legacy.
So it's about finding a buyer who will carry the torch
I love that.
and continue the legacy you've built.
That's what it's all about.
But how do you go about finding that perfect buyer?
That's where a practice broker comes in.
Okay, tell me more.
They have extensive networks and can connect sellers with potential buyers who are actively looking for practices like theirs.
It's kind of like a matchmaking service for accounting practices.
It is. They take the time to understand your practice, your goals, and your ideal buyer. And then they use their expertise and connections to find the best possible match.
So if someone is thinking about selling their practice,
Yeah.
what's their first step? Should they just pick up the phone and call Bruce?
Well, before they even think about contacting a broker,
Okay.
it's crucial to do some soul searching
Soul searching.
and determine their own readiness to sell.
So before you even start thinking about buyers and valuations, you need to ask yourself some tough questions about why you're selling
Yes.
and what you hope to achieve.
Get clear on your motivations.
It's about clarifying your motivations, your financial goals, and your vision for the future.
What do you want your life to look like?
You wouldn't jump into selling your house without first thinking about why you're moving and where you want to go next.
Makes sense, right?
So let's say someone has done their soul searching.
Okay.
They've decided they're ready to sell
They're ready.
and they're looking for guidance.
Okay.
What should they look for in a practice broker?
Experience is key.
Experience, okay?
You want someone who has a proven track record of successfully facilitating practice sales.
So not just someone who dabbles in practice brokerage on the side,
No, you want a specialist.
but someone who lives and breathes this world.
Absolutely. Someone who understands the intricacies of the market,
Okay.
who has strong relationships with potential buyers, and who can guide you through the process with confidence and expertise.
Okay. So experience is essential.
It is.
What else should sellers consider?
Reputation is also crucial.
Reputation.
You want to work with a broker who is known for their integrity, their professionalism, and their commitment to their clients.
Someone who is respected in the industry.
Yes.
And who will always put your best interests first.
That's the one.
Okay, so experience and reputation are essential.
The foundation.
Anything else to keep in mind?
Communication is key.
Communication.
You want a broker who is responsive, keeps you informed every step of the way, and who is willing to answer your questions honestly and thoroughly.
No disappearing acts.
No way.
Once they've signed you up as a client.
Nope. You need a partner who is accessible and transparent.
Okay.
Someone you can trust to guide you through this process.
So finding the right broker is almost as important as finding the right buyer.
I would say so.
A good broker can make the entire process smoother, less stressful, and ultimately more successful.
Absolutely.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've debunked common myths about selling accounting practices.
Busted those myths wide open.
We've highlighted the importance of preparation and finding the right buyer.
Key takeaways.
We've talked about the qualities to look for in a practice broker.
Finding the right partner.
But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The emotional aspect of selling a practice.
Ah, yes, the feel.
This is often overlooked,
It is.
but can be a significant factor in the decision-making process.
Huge factor.
For many accountants, their practice is more than just a business.
It's their baby.
It's their baby.
Blood, sweat, and tears.
They've poured their heart and soul into building it.
Years of dedication.
And letting go can be incredibly difficult.
It's a tough goodbye.
So how can sellers prepare themselves emotionally for this transition?
Well, it starts with acknowledging and validating those feelings.
Okay.
It's okay to feel a sense of loss,
Yeah.
even if you're excited about the next chapter.
So don't try to suppress those emotions,
No.
but rather embrace them as part of the process.
Exactly.
Allow yourself to grieve the ending of this chapter while also looking forward to the new beginnings that await.
It's a balance.
That's good advice. What else can help sellers navigate this emotional terrain?
It can be helpful to reframe the experience as a positive one.
Okay.
Instead of viewing it as a loss,
Yeah.
see it as an opportunity to celebrate your accomplishments
Okay.
and create a new future for yourself and your family.
So instead of focusing on what you're giving up,
Yeah.
focus on what you're gaining.
Exactly. You're getting freedom, flexibility,
Right.
and the chance to pursue other passions or interests that you may have put on hold while building your practice.
That's a great perspective.
It is.
Anything else that can help sellers transition emotionally?
Surrounding yourself with a supportive network of family, friends, and colleagues can make a big difference.
So don't go through this alone.
Absolutely not.
Reach out to your trusted circle and let them know what you're going through.
They can offer encouragement, validation, and a listening ear when you need it most.
This is all incredibly helpful advice.
I hope so.
It's clear that selling a practice is not just a financial transaction.
Right.
It's also an emotional journey.
It's a whole journey.
And like any journey, it's important to have a roadmap, a supportive crew, and a clear vision for your destination.
Well said.
We've talked a lot about the financial and practical aspects of selling a practice. But I think it's important to remember that this decision is about more than just money.
I agree. It's about creating a future that aligns with your values, your goals, and your vision for yourself and your family.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thank you.
So as you contemplate this decision, don't just focus on the numbers.
Right.
Ask yourself what truly matters to you and make choices that will lead you towards a life of fulfillment and purpose.
Wise words.
All right, that's all the time we have for today.
Thank you for joining us for this depth dive into the world of buying and selling accounting practices.
And remember, if you're thinking about selling your practice, Bruce Clark and his team at New Clients, Inc. are here to help.
Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to create a life that you love.
It's about more than just maximizing your financial payout.
Right, yeah.
It's about finding that next chapter that brings you joy and satisfaction.
Fulfillment.
It can be an opportunity to rediscover passions you might have put on hold, or to explore entirely new avenues.
Oh, yeah. So many possibilities.
Think about all the possibilities that open up when you have more time and flexibility.
Time freedom is huge.
Maybe you want to travel the world, spend more time with family,
Yeah, family.
or finally pursue that hobby you've always dreamed of.
I've got a list.
Or maybe you've got that entrepreneurial itch. You want to start a new venture.
Second career, who knows?
The point is, selling your practice can be a springboard to something truly meaningful and fulfilling.
It can be a fresh start.
Aligning your professional life with your personal aspirations.
Yeah, getting those in sync.
And that's a powerful message to take away from this conversation.
It really is.
It's not just about the transaction itself.
No.
It's about using that transition as a launch pad for a life that truly reflects your values and desires.
Defining your own success.
So if you're an accountant listening to this, and you're feeling even the slightest nudge of possibility,
Any little inkling?
don't ignore it.
Don't. What do you have to lose?
Explore those feelings. Ask yourself those tough questions about what you truly want from life.
The big questions.
And see where that exploration leads you.
Exactly. It's a journey.
And remember, you don't have to navigate this journey alone.
You don't. You have resources.
Bruce Clark and his team at New Clients, Inc. are there to support you every step of the way.
They're great people, really knowledgeable.
They've helped countless accountants achieve their goals, and they can help you too.
So many success stories.
So take that first step.
Just reach out.
Reach out to Bruce and his team and see what possibilities await.
What are you waiting for?
And if you want to delve deeper into Bruce's insights,
It's a good idea.
be sure to grab a free copy of his book, The 7 Secrets to Successfully Selling Your Accounting Practice, at newclientsinc.com.
Free book. Can't beat that.
It's packed with valuable information, real-life stories, and practical advice that can help you make informed decisions about your future.
It's a great resource.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener.
I've learned a lot too.
I feel like we've gained a whole new understanding of this specialized market.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is. It's been a pleasure sharing these insights with you. And as always, we encourage you to continue exploring, learning, and growing.
Never stop learning.
Thank you for joining us on the Author Awareness Podcast. Until next time, keep seeking those nuggets of wisdom and creating a life that truly reflects your values and aspirations.
See you next time.